Today, we embark on a journey. We go down a path where there's no return. We look back into the past to obtain the knowledge we need to make one ultimate conclusion. Lord of the Rings Online Shadows of Angmar. Was it really that good?
What is up, everyone? It's Matty Ice here. Today we have a fun topic that I hope you're all going to enjoy, just with all of this controversy and hype and everything revolving around Echoes of Angmar. And I know everybody I keep seeing and hearing are constantly bugging the developers at SSG every time they have a Court of the Strings and whatnot and all this, constantly asking them. You got the forums going crazy on it. And I just think it's an exciting topic to talk about, and that's talking about obviously a Lotro classic, Lord of the Rings Shadows of Angmar, the original game when it was first released back in 2007. What we're going to talk about today is, was it really as good as what we thought? And what I'm here to tell you is, in my opinion, yes it was. And we're going to talk about why. What was it that made it just spark? What was it that makes us just have so many nostalgic memories and just things where it's like we want to go back and just experience them all over again? What was so great about that to make us desire it so much? It's a lot like, a lot of the fans of World of Warcraft wanting a World of Warcraft Classic and going back and experiencing that. I never played World of Warcraft Classic, and I never played TBC. When I first started playing WoW as Wrath of the Lich King, but I experienced WoW Classic and TBC, and I had a blast, let me tell you this, just because I've played retail WoW on and off here, just like Lotro I played on and off, and it's just like retail Lotro, like live Lotro. It is completely different than what it was when it first was released. And it was exciting. I had a lot of fun playing WoW Classic and TBC. And I think it would be the exact same thing with the Lotro Classic, and exactly what I was experiencing when we were playing Echoes of Angmar. So on that, I don't want to ramble too much. I want to jump into this. We're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about what was it? What were the main things that made, Lord of the Rings Shadows of Angmar, the original game, so phenomenal? Let's get right into it. So first thing, jumping right in, is the classes. All right, the original classes of Lotro, Shadows of Angmar, was the Captain, Guardian, Champion, Lore Master, Minstrel, Burglar, and the Hunter. Now, in my opinion, the classes in Lotro back in the day was a one of a kind of its time. All right, each class had its very unique purpose and what it brought to the table. There was no where it felt copy and paste classes where they just mimicked each other. Every class had its place in group content. Obviously, your Guardian was your typical tank, but then your Champion could have a legendary trait and wear a heavy shield. It could be off tank, but your Guardian was your main tank. Your Minstrel was your main healer. That if you were having a healer, it was the Minstrel. If you needed a class that had good AoE damage, it was the Champion. Champion was the main class and role that you would play if you need AoE damage. And then you have the Hunter, was your main single target DPS. Now granted, the Champion could do decent single target DPS, but not at this level of what a Hunter could. And then you had your Lore Master and Burglar, which are amazing at CCing, debuffing, and helping with just the crowd control and everything with the group content and all that. That is one of the greatest things. It just was so enjoyable, as every class had its purpose. And then also the Captain. I almost forgot the Captain. They brought the buffs to the group. Like that's her main purpose. I mean, they would still do some damage, but not crazy, but they would improve everybody else's damage to the point where they were worth bringing to the group. They would increase everybody's abilities with the buffs that they would bring, that would just make the group that much better. There's not a lot of MMOs out there that have that type of classes where it's a true support role, and that is their main job. And that was just the one thing that I truly really loved about Lord of the Rings Shadows of Angmar was the classes. They were original, and it was so enjoyable to play. Now, transitioning from classes, I think a good one to jump right into is the trait and virtue system. Right, the trait system of the original Lotro was like no other. What made it so different, is that it wasn't just like your typical tree line, kind of like most MMOs. Like, you used specific skills to create progress to where eventually you would unlock a trait, and then you would equip that trait through the bard system, through the bard in any inn, and then that trait would give you a benefit or a buff. And you had different types of traits. You had class traits, you had race traits, and then you had legendary traits. All right, it would benefit you with a certain skill or a certain outcome of a skill or whatnot, to where it actually felt like what traits you selected would actually matter and make a difference. Like, you felt more unique, like you were unique with your class, and there's certain unique ways you could build it. All right, and then along with that, which are kind of the same thing, traits, but they were called virtues, were another way where you could progress through the deed system and obtain these virtues they could help fill in stats that you were lacking on from your gear, and it would make your guy that much more powerful, whether it was bonus to wound resistance or bonus to your might or agility or will or whatnot. Like, it's something that was very unique to Lotro, where it was there wasn't something found in most MMOs at the time. Like, you have World of Warcraft, all they had was just the trait tree system, which was fun, and I think it was very unique too, and I like the trait tree system, but I love the fact that Lotro made their own system, and they didn't follow it, kind of like what retail Lotro is now. Granted, I do enjoy retail Lotro's trait tree system just because it does still make it a little bit fun, but honestly, I do prefer the old way because it's what made Lotro unique in its ways, and to where it made it stand out from other MMOs. And that is what I had loved about Lotro back in the day, and that's what I think Lotro has lost a lot of nowadays. We're trying too hard to be similar to all these other MMOs, and it's unfortunate. The third thing that I believe, made Lotro Shadows of Angmar what it was the combat. It is a lot like what WoW Classic was. Yes, it was slow, and yes, you would miss a lot of attacks all the time. It sucked, but it was challenging, and it was actually like rewarding. When you got a crit, it was like, yeah, I got a crit. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. It was rewarding. There was a sense of actual thrill and accomplishment. A sense of actually having to be careful. You had to think out your polls. You had to watch, okay, where's this patrol going? Where's this guy? If I pull this guy, well, I accidentally pulled this guy. Like, when I was playing Echoes of Angmar, Jaeger Jack, I got killed trying to do Jaeger Jack solo. I pulled him, then I pulled a bunch of other guys, and then they chased me down all the way to where then I just ended up dying, and I never got away. All right. You can't just go in there like a Leroy Jenkins it. You can't just Leroy Jenkins it. If you do, it's not always going to turn out the way that you want it to. All right, it felt like a very balanced system, unlike what the combat is today. Like, holy crap, I did some of the delvings today on retail Lotro, and that's for a whole nother video. But
is there anything that actually spawn on this side somewhere?
Do you see that?
Yes, I see that over
There's
there.
one right under the R.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh my lord, there are so many things that are not balanced in any way on retail Lotro nowadays. Like, at low levels, you just obliterate everything, and at higher levels, you're still obliterating some mobs, and then when you do delvings, you're obliterating them in some instances, and then other instances, you're getting obliterated. It's so imbalanced, it's just frustrating, whereas, honestly, I feel like Lord of the Rings, Shadows of Angmar back in that day, like, the combat, yes, it was, like, slow, but it felt balanced, and it felt clean, and it felt enjoyable and rewarding, and that is something that I truly miss about Lotro. going from combat and into instances and the raids and dungeons, right? They were actually difficult, requiring patience and understanding. It's going to be at least anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, or even longer if you're wiping and you're failing at the mechanics. Like, it actually felt like you were embarking on an adventure with a group of other heroes, or like your friends, to defeat a larger power. You know, the boss fights actually lasted for a long time, even in the dungeons. You know, Sambrog was like actually like a 5 or 6 minute fight, if I remember right, when I was playing in Echoes of Angmar. Because like I never played the Barrow Downs. Like I did the Great Barrow Downs when I first played the game back in 2008, because like I was so young, I was my first ever MMO. I was so new to the game, I never did any of those. So like it was fun to experience that, but like it was an actual boss fight. It wasn't just done in like 1 minute. We didn't just obliterate them. It wasn't, and you know, they're not all just straightforward tank and spank. Some are, but like a lot of times you have phases, you have ads that come, and then you have to pick up those ads right away so they don't immediately kill the healer, because the healer's going to grab that aggro real quick. You know, there was actually phases, mechanics that you had to pay attention to. You know, especially when you would get to like the Rift to Nurzgaju, and as well as like Karn Doom. Like those instances were tremendous and exciting and just so fulfilling, with just the mechanics and the landscape of it, the linear just trail or path that you go. Like, even though I didn't play classic Rift, but like our kinship on retail Lotro now, we all have like level 50 locked tunes that we're doing like weekly or once a month Rift runs together, just trying to have that re-experience of some kind and just enjoying it because of, and even Karn Doom, like just how much fun those old instances were and just how unique and original they were. And that's something where I think Lotro still does really well. I believe they had a fall off during, I believe it was like Riders of Rohan, but that's something that Lotro I feel like has always done really well, is make very unique and original instances, and it's a lot of fun, even if you just do the skirmish instances or whatnot. But all of the raids and 6-mans and 3-mans I have enjoyed. I've never really had anything to complain about with Lotro's instances, and I think that all started first off when the game first came out, and that is something that has always made me love this game, is just how immersive and just fun the instances are. Now, this is kind of a nice transition because I was already mentioning immersiveness, but a big thing was the landscape and immersiveness of just the whole game and world in general of the original Lord of the Rings Online, Shadows of Angmar. And even to this day, Lotro still holds true to that. But I think the original game, Shadows of Angmar, did a really good job with this. And there's what I'm going to dive into is something that some people might not agree with, and I can understand why, but this is the reason why I think it had a certain effect. Same thing with like WoW Classic had the same thing. But what I'm talking about is like old school MMOs that required you to reach a certain level before you could even get a mount. You know, you had to be level 35 to get your first mount in the original game. Until then, you had to run everywhere on foot. Which, what that does is it makes the world feel even bigger than it already is. Now, granted, I know everybody's like, I don't want to have to run everywhere. I'm too lazy. Or,
Help me! I'm too lazy to escape!
I shouldn't say you're just too lazy, but it's just like, it's just so boring. I mean, if you can't look at it as like a chore that it's boring, like take it as like you are exploring, you are a hero exploring, and that's, you have to prove yourself and earn the ability to have that mount, and it's because you're in this huge vast world that you have to grow and become this hero in. And that's something that I thought was amazing about the game back in the day, and this is the same thing like WoW Classic does, is like you feel so immersed in the world because the world is feels so big, because it just takes so long to get everywhere. You know, obviously I know a lot of people might agree with that. They'd rather have the mount right away, so it's just a better, you know, quality of life, which I can understand. But in my opinion, all you're doing then is you're sacrificing a large portion of your immersiveness only to obtain that better quality of life. So I get it. It's up to basically what do you find more important, and that's what's tough nowadays is you can't please everybody, unfortunately, and that's what I try my best to understand with live Lotro and retail Lotro. And I know a lot of people might not even agree because they just absolutely despise what Lotro is nowadays, and I can like understand why you feel that way. But I just constantly try to have an open mind with it, because it's like, no matter what, there's things that retail Lotro and live Lotro has today that people love, and then there's people that hate it. And that's the thing. And even back when the game originally first came out, there were still people who probably hated things about what Lord of the Rings Online Shadows of Angmar was. And that's just what it is, and that's always what it will be, is you're not going to be able to keep everybody happy. All right, this one I almost completely forgot, and let's go right into it, is crafting. All right, the crafting of the original Lotro was very different than what it is nowadays. Like, it actually was even more time consuming, but it was like time consuming in a good way, where you actually like had to put in the work and the effort to actually master your craft. So again, going back to like we were talking about the combat a little bit, and that just sense of accomplishment, and that is something that I think was very important with what made these games, and especially the original Lotro in general, so enjoyable, is you actually were working towards something, a goal, where then once you did reach it, you would actually have that large sense of accomplishment. Like, even when I was playing the Echoes of Angmar and I got to the level 24, the max level for phase 1, and then I was working on my armor crafting, and I was able to get to I had my level 21 heavy armor recipes, and I had to go out, I had to kill a bunch of lynx, or actually I ended up, I think, buying a lot of the lynx claws or whatever they were off the auction house, because you needed them in order to increase your chance of critting on the recipe of crafting the soul pieces. Because then if you would crit on the craft of those pieces, it would make the piece that much better with the armor and the stats that were on the piece. And when you crit, it was a huge difference. Like, it was a large amount of stats that would actually make a large difference. And so when you would get that crit piece of armor, it was exciting. It was like, yes, I got it. Yeah. Like, I'm all right, I'm gonna get this gear, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna be unstoppable almost. Like, you're gonna feel so much better, and you're gonna just have that much better of survivability out there in the wild. And it just made it that much more thrilling and exciting. You know, when you just have dull crafting experiences and it's just easy or simple, or sometimes it's not even, you don't even have to do it. Like, it doesn't feel necessary. It's not fun. Like, when you feel like crafting's not necessary, I feel like it's just like, and I get it, because there's people who don't want to do crafting at all, but like, there's got to be something there. And I think retail Lotro nowadays like does have a decent kind of setup, but I think I mean, it's really kind of gone off the deep end with a lot of things, and there's a lot of reworking that I think they need to do, and what they've announced that they're going to be doing, I don't think is going in the right direction, but I guess we'll see. I mean, this though, crafting in the original Lotro Shadows of Angmar, I think was a great thing that made this game unique and just phenomenal and very enjoyable to play, just from what I experienced and remembered, and got that nostalgia of when I got to play Echoes of Angmar. All right, like, it is a big thing that I loved. It just was so exciting to get that armor and just feel like I was that much stronger of a hero when I was going out there on my adventures and going into the Great Barrows. All right, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, and I'm looking forward to making just more Lord of the Rings all in general videos. I've had thoughts of possibly diving into doing some Total War Lord of the Rings mod gameplay, like large scale battle videos too. Let me know if you don't want to see that, whatever. That's just thoughts. That's not coming anytime soon, but I just thought of kind of eventually I want to expand to just more Lord of the Rings stuff. But on that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now, I don't want to go rambling on that. I just want to say thank you again for all of you guys' love and support. The fact that, like, we are up to 327 or something subs now. We're close to a third of the way to that 1,000 subs. I can't thank you all enough. We're making amazing progress to 1,000 subs. We're already almost to like 1,000 public watch hours. It has been an amazing ride and so much fun. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys more content with the Lord of the Rings, you know, the Echoes of Angmar stuff too. That stuff is kind of slowing down, and they've even made announcements in the Discord now where, like, I can't share which it makes sense, but I can't share the conversations or stuff being posted in the Discord. So it makes it hard to share updates on it, and especially just to where it's stuff that you can actually feel like it's authentic and like I'm actually sharing you like real stuff. I'll still try my best to just do like updates and talk about it, but on that, I mean, it's going to be all Lotro content coming forward. I'm excited to bring you guys more stuff. Again, let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think about Lord of the Rings Online Shadows of Angmar, the original game? Do you think it was as good as it was? Or were you one of those people where, you kind of like retail Lotro better? Which one is your favorite? Why? What do you guys think is stuff that maybe needs to change? Or do you guys want that? Do you want a Lotro classic? You know, whatever it is, whatever, if you want to see, what do you want to see for future content? Leave a comment down below. Share your thoughts. I'd love to listen to you guys. I love responding to all of you. Also, please leave a like so I can win the battle with the algorithm gods.
None of you will leave this place.
Really helps with pushing this video out there so more people, more Lotro fans and more Lotro lovers can find me, and we can continue growing. So that way I would like to join the ranks of like Bright Life and Louis, and I'm not trying to become exactly like them or better them or anything. I just want to be part of that because I love the community that Lotro has, and I really want to be in that and just keep, you know, bringing videos to you guys that you can enjoy and watch. Again, I love you all. Leave a like, leave a sub, hit that bell button, and I will see you in the next video. Matty Ice out. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Again, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what type of content you want to see in future videos. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, hit that bell button so that way you can get notified every single time one of my videos go live on the channel, so that way you never miss out on any of my content. Again, thank you, and I love you all.